Welcome to the CCI meeting for the Deerfield Solar Plan Review on, what's today? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know the day it is.
December 5th.
Thank you. Tuesday, December 5th at 6:34 p.m. And I'll let Lily do the blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Well, everybody, you'll be delighted to know that certain meetings normally held at municipal office are being held remotely with adequate alternative means of public access and where required public participation provided in accordance with House Bill number 58 of the 193rd General Court, which extend the governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, master laws, chapter 30A, section 20 until March 31st, 2025. Meetings are recorded and then posted on Zoom, and if you want to join, that is posted in the agenda both on the town website and the town hall.
That was amazing. You must be practicing, Lily.
I'm just picking up breathing.
I'm going to do roll call. And let's see. Okay, Jim Cambias, no. Julie Chalfont, yes. Lily,
Here.
yes, you're here. Tim Hilchey, no. Kate Lawless is not here. Andrea,
I'm
yes.
here by dinner,
Yep,
so
that's okay. I'm here. Trevor, no. Annie Curtis, no. Carolyn,
Yep,
is here. John Patrick, no. And MA is here. And Pete Law is not here. Okay, thank you.
we have
Okay,
and we have Ann Buchanan.
yes, and Ann Buchanan as a guest for CCI. Welcome, Ann. Nice to meet you. All right, so I'm going to turn it.
Julie, this is Ann.
Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Lily and MA, and I'm going to step aside and attempt to take notes.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, so let me I'm going to share my screen, and then MA is going to walk you through the presentation that is essentially the PDF that everybody was emailed, but MA is going to walk you through with just as soon as I can get this stupid thing open big enough. There we go. With explanations. Let's just do my desktop because I think it's probably the easiest share. All right. Thank you for your patience. Hide loading meeting controls and let's make this bigger. All right.
There
Can
we go.
everybody see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Mhm.
All right, MA, take it away, Goldie.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce the Solar Planning Committee, which is Ann Buchanan, who is here, Lily, MA, and Lori Bouchata, who is not here. Today we're not discussing the information in the planning document. It's too thick and too heavy, and anybody who has input that they would like to give on that, please give it to, I don't know, can we just have the people post it on a place on the CCI website?
Leila, I mean, are you talking about like typos? Like they had Belmont School instead of Bement in one of the charts?
Yeah, well, definitely things like we need to clean all those kinds of things up eventually before it's approved.
Okay.
But not tonight.
Okay. I wasn't sure what we were doing.
Yeah, no.
I think then maybe as per MA's suggestion, we'll create a folder on the CCI drive that is for the solar. I can do that for this, and we'll put up a copy of the document, and everybody just edit that one copy with your comments and your fixes so that we're not emailing a thousand versions of a 57-page document.
Okay.
So this document was prepared with the cooperation of, or primarily with the work of the energy extension at UMass. It was done over it started in a year ago, September, the students started, and Samantha and Ariel finished up in at the end of the school year. So it was a year-long process. It was a class they were taking. And so they were learning how to do a solar plan as they were doing our solar plan. So and then the faculty have been working on that since then. So as you noticed, Ready Kilowatt is, we're all old enough to remember Ready Kilowatt, I hope. But he was there at the beginning. Our goal in this solar plan is to have Deerfield self-sufficient with alternative energy by 2050. We currently have 13 megawatts and we need 94, so 7 times the amount that we have right now. So there's a lot of work ahead of us, but there's also a lot of opportunity. There's Ready again.
No.
There are 5 different areas that we have potential for developing solar. Broad areas. Business and institutions is one, and the pros for business and institutions are that there are large flat roof surfaces for generation. They can significantly produce, and they also are usually big consumers of electricity. And the structure is in place and most likely viable for solar. The cons are that it's going to take a lot of individual work to provide the sales pitch to get businesses to put solar on their roof. And it doesn't directly benefit taxpayers. It gets us towards our goal, but it doesn't benefit taxpayers financially or any other way. And it's not very visible. Barns and farms are another place where it's a potential for solar development. Again, large surface areas, many of them, there are benefits to the taxpayers because farmers are taxpayers. There are a lot of grants and loans available for farms and farmers. And also, the more and more research is being done on agri-solar, growing things under the solar panels, and UMass is doing quite a bit of that, but other universities all over the country. And it's more and more successful as they develop, the methods for doing that. Cons are barn roofs are famous for collapsing. It requires many installations to equal the power of one business roof, and many barns face east-west, and so they are not great for developing solar. The fourth one is residential. Again, there's lots of roofs that still in town that could develop solar. There's also a lot of roofs that cannot for a variety of reasons. That it's very significant consumption. Power consumers are residents. Everybody consumes electricity. And it obviously benefits the taxpayers. Again, it requires a good sales pitch. You have to do it roof by roof. And it takes many installations to equal one business roof. And it also, it's not going to provide a lot towards our goal. It's certainly important. It's also really important for public relations, for getting people committed to solar. Large ground mounted arrays, again, significant generation. Parking canopies are also good because they reduce plowing and provide shade, but they're also very expensive, the most expensive way to install solar. Cons are they have to be close to a 3-phase, but the town has quite a bit of free 3-phase in it, so we're pretty well situated that way. You're more likely to get public resistance on large ground mount for all sorts of NIMBY reasons. And they don't benefit the taxpayers. They're usually third-party owned.
Sorry, hang on.
And finally, excuse me, municipal buildings. Large surface for generation, significant power consumers, reduces operating costs and benefits the taxpayers. We're also, the town is eligible for the state SMART program and also the federal 30% tax credits. And you can net meter. You can get net metering credits, so you can spread wherever, no matter where it's generated, you can spread the cost benefits around to all the town accounts. We are in the process of well, the town buildings that we would be considering are the 1888 building, the 1821 building, DES, the elementary school, DPW, the senior housing, and the new library and Frontier. So we have there are a lot of buildings that we're already starting to look at.
MA, you didn't list the sewer treatment plants?
I didn't. They already have a little bit. I think they're probably gonna under municipal, they would be ground mounted systems. We're putting one. They each have one. Well, they soon will each have one. They could be enlarged or increased. But yes, and they are also big consumers.
Because we were thinking of putting it on the roof of the new sewer treatment plant building there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's news to me. That's great news. Yeah. So two assumptions or whatever. This all ties into Eversource. It's not a microgrid for the town. There's no battery storage or anything like this in this plan. And so the storage is all being sent back into the grid or extra. Next steps. There are the steps, in case you're wondering. So mainly today we're focused on strategy, but eventually we have to put a lot of details to the plan as we move forward. And
also, though, I did want to say that the strategy will affect the finance as well, from what we've seen in that plan, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're all, for instance, once we have a plan approved by the planning board, after we've gotten input from lots of different committees and a public forum, then we can apply for grants for even implementing this plan. The green communities, I'm pretty sure we can get green communities money to carry this plan forward, for advertising, for information, ways of getting information out, etc., etc. We're not going to tell you what our idea is until you tell us yours. And there we have it.
Well, one thing I wanted to add to the farming thing is that list is really not complete. We have, the conservation district does
Oh,
have a complete
that
list.
list, that list, the list in the report.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it's a mess.
yeah, okay.
There's a whole
So-
lot of roofs that are do not qualify, and there's a whole lot of ones that's what we want input on later on.
Okay, but what I wanted to say from the farming point of view is the farm bill is expired. The current farm bill has been expired since September 30th, and they're supposed to be doing a new one, but as soon as Congress gets off its butt and gets that passed, which it should, there's going to be a ton of money through Natural Resource and Conservation Service for these kind of projects. And the state, I'm on the state technical committee, and we voted to have the lowest possible match for farmers. So, you're talking 5% or less, depending on the income of the farm. And so hopefully people will be, doing solar panels right and left, because it will be almost 100% paid for by NRCS.
And it's already pretty good stuff, pretty good.
Right, but the reason we voted to support solar or energy projects is because it does reduce the operating costs for farms. And so, I mean, what we have to do is do a really big campaign once the farm bill gets voted by Congress, and that gets out within, hopefully by June.
Carolyn, you're getting a little ahead of our skis here.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you were looking for ideas.
So what we're actually, what we need from this meeting is, of all those different areas, and this was quite a debate in our meeting as well, like, what should be our initial primary focus? Because we are 4 people volunteering, right? So we don't have the wherewithal to go knocking on everybody's doors at farms, et cetera, et cetera. So the question we were asking ourselves, and that we want to hear from everybody here, is how do we bring the most benefit to Deerfield residents, who we refer to as taxpayers, which is not a bad idea, in the presentation? How do we get our biggest bang for the buck for people? So if you think of it as whatever we do first is going to be very important for how well received going forward will be. So that's why we were thinking it's really important to do something that really helps the taxpayers and benefit in the town. So that's kind of our thinking anyway. So yes, Denise.
Well, after looking at all of this and hearing, I mean, I think I would go with the municipal buildings first, because I think that would be the most recognizable. Once that, I think that would be, it would certainly benefit the town if it's smart eligible, 30% tax credits. I think, as you said, barns are, you have to have a good structure to put solar on, and if they're not all facing south. So I don't know. I mean, I would go with municipal buildings first.
Andrea?
The 3 biggest places in Old Deerfield are the tax exempt schools. How about, could they possibly help not only their own places, but the neighborhoods in which they exist?
Well, the problem is, as MA pointed out, there's not a microgrid. And so any energy consumed or generated will be associated with the entity that does it, right? So it would certainly benefit them to do it. And it would, as MA pointed out, it would get the town closer to its town goal, but it doesn't help any of the taxpayers at all.
It doesn't, so that if they generated more energy than they used, it couldn't be.
Oh, no, then they just get a credit with the power company.
Right, but they could give that credit away. And
They could do a lot of things, MA.
I'm just, it's such a, It's, if it would be 3-4 asks, you know, or organizations to get online, that would be a big gold chunk.
I think there's so they consume so much electricity. I can't imagine that they will ever be generating more than they produce. Even Deerfield, with all the solar they have on their roofs, I can't imagine they're coming close. But I don't know that. So it would be an interesting
That's
question.
an interesting question. Yeah.
Okay, that was my idea.
Okay. Yeah. And it's definitely worth considering if we can get them to do what Emma suggested too. Yes, Julie.
Really.
I have a bunch of thoughts. I agree with Denise that the municipal is very important and should be pretty high on our list. And then going into that list, I would start with number one would be the library, because even though like the report doesn't recognize the new piece of the library, and once that new piece goes in, the electricity usage is going to go way up. That building's designed for solar, but the solar panels are not funded right now, and they're not within that whatever 12.5 million or whatever it was that was approved. So I think a really high priority is to figure out how to fund those solar panels and get them on that building. I think the second priority would actually be the South Deerfield wastewater treatment plant, because that's a new building, is probably structurally sound for solar panels, and it's a really big electricity user. So if we can get power on top of that, the net metering, like we have solar, and the net metering, if you can use the power, you get much more bang for your buck. If you're actually putting the power on the grid and getting it back, you only get the generation charge, not the distribution charge. You only get like half price for that.
It's monetized and they subtract all their costs that you get on the bill. It's
so if you put the solar on buildings that use a lot of power, then you get like more bang for your buck. So if I would start with like the municipal thing and do that. And then I'm thinking about this, and I sort of feel like the residential might be the next thing to go, even though it's not the big bang for the buck. It's like PR, right? Right. So you get a lot of people involved, and then like they're paying for it themselves. But if you provide some education and whatever, it's not, you know, like you're not going to be paying for them to put solar on their houses.
I agree 100%, because we have a lot of older homes with older people that are worried about making this kind of a decision. It's too old. So having hand holding would be very beneficial to our older population with older.
Yeah, and information. And I would include in that solar thermal, which is not in this report at all, but probably a third of your power if you have electric hot water, probably a third of your power goes to hot water. And those solar, like they're 2 panels, they're not that big, and you really get a lot of, I mean, we do the vast majority of our hot water from 2 little panels. So that gets a really big impact, especially if you can install like a big hot water heater rather than a big tank. But so there's a lot you can do there. The businesses, I kind of feel like they have a business plan. If it makes financial sense, they're going to do it, and they're probably all over that and handling that themselves. I don't know. I guess that's all my thoughts.
I'll go back to the farm. So the conservation.
Oh, the farms, yeah.
They're doing
Yeah, that, and when that grant comes through, that totally makes sense to help with that too.
And the conservation districts are doing outreach already. So all we have to do is connect with the conservation district, and that will benefit our farms tremendously.
Yeah.
All we have to do, yes, I know.
No, but I mean, all I will do is I'm chair of the conservation district. So I will just make sure that we have a priority outreach to Deerfield farmers.
Denise has had her hand up for a bit.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, residential is great. Unfortunately, we are, too shady for solar, which is unfortunate. But I think in thinking a lot of, people need to be educated, because especially when you're an elder person, you've got to look at return on investment, because for some people, it's just not going to be worth it for them. Definitely for younger families, because, you can amortize that over a certain number of years. But for someone who's maybe, 70 years on up, depending upon how long you're going to live, really think about that. So that may not be as attractive. So I think education is really important unless they're getting a lot of,
Yeah, there's
you
a
know,
six,
grants or
6 to 7 years.
assistance.
Yeah, friends of ours just looked at it. It was like a 3-year payback for them.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So education is really important, for people to understand that.
the other thing. I mean, well, there was a program a while before COVID called Solarize Mass, and a lot of towns around here took advantage of that. And it was the state provided the education piece, and money for that, and then they also the more people in town that signed up with the assigned installer, in other words, the town picked an installer and had an agreement with them that the more people who signed up, the lower the prices would go down. And that was really popular, a really popular program. The energy committee had some problems with it before COVID, and then it went away. But I think the state has talked about coming back with that. But also in green communities, you could build it into your green communities grant and get it and get that program up and running for the town. And it not only includes solar, which affects this, but they also include the last iteration of it included electric cars, heat pumps, the hybrid hot water heaters, all sorts of electric appliances that were included in that program. So that it takes a lot of shoe leather to do that, as do a lot of these. So I think as we move forward with each of these programs, except for possibly the municipal, we'll have to develop a separate committee to work on that branch of whatever it is. If it's farms and barns, there will have to be farmers who are helping out and spreading the word and etc.
Sure. MA, thinking about that relationship with a specific contractor, I'm wondering if that might be a way to get the schools, because Andrea is absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of roof there and a lot of consumption there. I mean, to get the schools and the businesses on board, if what we can do as a community, and I don't think this is our highest priority, but maybe along the way, if we say do municipal first, because that it reduces the operating costs of all the buildings that it's on, right, which benefits the taxpayers, and so directly. But if we, in the course of doing that, can develop a relationship with a solar provider and installer that we can extend as an offer, as the sales pitch. Because I'll back up for a second. When we were talking, we were saying, if we were, those businesses are big roofs, right? But we would they clearly have made a decision not to do it. And so what we would have to do is put together a whole sales pitch about like how this is affordable and it benefits the earth and how this will benefit you, because that's what it comes down to, right? For all of them. The bottom line, same with our taxpayers. How does this benefit you? And so I'm wondering if that might be an interesting thing that in the course of us doing our first effort, we make a point of developing that, finding a good relationship like that, because if we can bring that to the table, maybe that's our sales pitch and it's done, we get more of the big roofs on board. Yes, Carolyn.
We need to back up a bit though. I think there is consensus that we should do something municipally, but Julie is absolutely correct. If that library is built without solar panels, it is almost $4,000 a month in electrical costs added to the operation costs of the library. So we've got to put in for, solar panels for that library. And so someone should, I don't know, maybe it's.
So that's a tactic. So you're jumping to the tactics, and that's not a bad idea, but yeah. If we're
Someone
all-
has to put that in for the capital improvement committee to review and move forward as part of our thing for this year, because this is pretty serious.
So that's the thing, is the question is the consensus that we should move forward with municipal first?
Does municipal include the schools?
Yes.
Yeah.
Public school.
Public schools, yes.
Public schools, yeah.
So if we get it, and partly if we get the kids on board, little kids on board, they tell their parents.
Perfect salespeople, right?
Yeah, and
Almost-
reducing the
almost-
expenses for the town, I'm sorry, however we can, shows, you know, that the town is serious about this, and
That almost all of these solar installations will have dashboards that the students can follow and do the math with, and, you know, see what they're generating, see what they're saving, work on all that.
Cool. So can I take it? I'm not gonna take a vote, but Denise is taking minutes. Well, I guess, should we vote on, so all those in favor of adopting a municipal strategy first? Raise your hand. Let the record show that is, Julie, you're not, oh yeah, it is unanimous.
I
Okay.
moved on already.
I have to look at all the boxes. And so excellent, because I will share with you that that is what our committee wanted to. So we might have skewed the presentation. I don't know,
Of
subconscious.
course we did.
I wrote the report.
No, it makes
Yeah.
the most sense. It makes the most sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
also, we're already working, I mean, we've already done quite a bit of research on all those buildings, as we speak. So we're farthest along in that project. And it involves the least amount of shoe leather door to door.
Well, then I would like to take a moment, since we came to this very quickly. Thank you all. And Carolyn started on this talking about tactics, right? And MA, you just touched on the work that's been going on in the schools. Can you just share with everybody what has been accomplished in the municipal area so far?
So far, there is a small installation at the north end of the wastewater treatment plant up in Old Deerfield that was put on several years ago, through a Green Communities grant and wastewater treatment plant grant. There is the trackable panels that we've just received and will be installing at the South Deerfield plant.
Do you know what kind of generation that's expected to deliver?
I'm sorry,
Do you know how many kilowatt hours that's expected to deliver?
it was a 10 kW system.
Okay, thank you.
I'm pretty sure that's AC, but I'm not sure.
is the north, in the old Deerfield water treatment plant, does that cover all the electrical needs for that plant?
No, neither of them,
it was
neither of them will come close.
It was installed incorrectly, so it's never really operated very well.
That's a whole nother issue we won't get into here.
Many years of issues.
But it's generating.
Yeah.
It's doing something. We are in the process of having an energy audit for the done by an engineer, not the mass save light bulb type audit. At the DPW, at DES, and at Frontier. And that's much more of an energy saving audit, but that should give us priorities of how, you know, what projects should be done at those locations.
So does that shows consumption as well, you're saying?
that'll show all, yes, everything. And basically that will make those buildings ready for grants. There will be basically the engineering study will be done on how to, what energy projects need to be done on those buildings.
Say
So
again what it was. That was the elementary school and the waste and the highway department.
I'm sorry?
It was the highway department and the elementary school. Those were the buildings.
And Frontier.
And Frontier. Thanks.
Was that was a separate grant that we've already gotten? MA?
It's not a grant. Well, yes, it's through Eversource. So Eversource is paying for it.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Um,
that was the one that we agreed to this summer, past summer.
Correct.
Okay,
And then, I know that the 1821 building has had an assessment for solar.
Yeah.
Tim Hilchey was doing that. I think he had somebody come and do an appraisal of that. We have just applied for meta grant from FERCog for an engineering study of the Frontier roof as far as suitability for solar. We should hear in January or February as to whether we receive that grant. It's I think about a $15,000 grant, and so this Frontier building will be assessed for its capability for solar. And we picked that because they're about to replace their roof, and they have a tendency to jump ahead without talking to anybody. So we have the superintendent and the building, well, Bill Hildreth, whatever he is, the building
Facilities.
Facilities manager. There we go. They're on board with that. They know what's happening. So that's
does the $15,000 pay for the assessment, or does it pay for installation?
No. It just is an engineering study on the roof.
And to get back to what both Carolyn and Julie were talking about, the library, how many years till the library is built enough to put solar panels on? Does anybody know?
No,
Like
or
one.
is it possible to also think about a canopy for the parking area?
Love that.
It is. Canopies are the most expensive to put on, and
but if you had a facility like Frontier Regional and the roof can't handle it, it's got a huge parking lot. Couldn't we do some canopy in the parking lot that would be less expensive than replacing a whole roof
definitely than replacing what we think that there's definitely section. We're just trying to find out if there are any sections on the roof that are not amenable to solar. Because
but to Andrea's point too, has anybody ever looked at the operational savings that you get by having solar canopy over parking? Because then you don't have to plow it, and it is almost like having a garage in a New England winter, which would be lovely.
I don't know whether anyone has the numbers on that. I know that the DPW hates the idea of having to plow it.
UMass has huge. Ellen, UMass has huge canopies now.
I know. It's wonderful.
So we should ask them about what they're seeing as operational savings, because that needs to be a part of the equation when you're talking about the cost, right?
We had an MVP grant proposal that was not funded for a canopy at Frontier. It was a 4-town application.
Right.
Sorry for what?
Deerfield Elementary, then. You don't have to deal with the other towns.
Denise, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, since we're talking about, doing the library, municipal that's our first plan, and then the library makes the best sense. Good suggestion, Julie. Why don't we get someone? And I know that John from the solar store has done a lot of installations down at Snowbury. He's wonderful. I know him. He's the one who came. I mean, we can't do solar here, but he's the one who came. Why don't we ask him to assess what the cost would be? He can look at the architectural plans for the library. He can do an assessment and tell us approximately how much it would cost to do that. Then we can, as Carolyn said, do it on, put it on the CIPC and see where we go. Or see if we can get some grant funding for that. I mean, doesn't that make sense if we're going to do that first?
Does.
To get that information?
Yeah.
I don't know if there are others. Julie, do you know others, or does anybody else know other installers? We should probably get more than one.
Yeah, PV
PV
squared.
did ours.
Okay. So
They're-
we can,
they're a co-op too, so I like
yeah,
that.
reach out to a couple different ones and give them the drawings and, get a price.
Northeast Solar, there's a lot of good local installers around, and it's excellent idea to get, and they do it for free. Well, I don't know if they do that size building for free, but they certainly homes they do for free, the assessment.
At
But
least we will know,
Yeah.
where we stand.
The other
One
thing is at the end of that report, there was a long list of funding sources. And I mean, I sort of glazed over them because we didn't have a specific strategy that we were adopting, but it seems like we could go there too.
Yes, and that's changing all the time. The state, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the state to fund, to meet its goals and to fund solar in different ways. And same with the feds. So we'll see.
Yes, Denise.
That's something else to reach out, another reason to reach out to Melissa Hoffer, our climate chief. And, we did a presentation for her. We did a little walk around and told her what we were going to do, the plans. And she was very impressed with everything that we did. And, she may have some other ideas as to, what direction we can go in terms of funding.
Right, and if we ask her specifically about the library, so that we're giving her something specific because she got back to her people almost immediately after our meeting. I was getting feedback from various places, like the folks at UMass saying, "Hey, Melissa Hoffer wants to know about." So she's good.
So I was just also the elementary school. I mean, because it's so visible and it's big and it's only for Deerfield, would that be the lot? And it already exists.
There are real questions as to whether the roof is strong enough for solar. And Tim Hilchey we're definitely interested in that, and that is easier. The Frontier one, we're just we can at least get the engineering study and know where we can go with that. But we're going to need to get more an engineering study for the elementary school also.
I met every week for the elementary school roof replacement. We had joint select board roof committee meeting, so we could make decisions. And I really struggled to get them to see if we could do solar on there, but the structural replacement and having making it structurally sound enough to carry the solar panels was not possible.
Right, but Tim thinks that you can design it in such a way so that the weight goes on the walls instead of the roof. And so that's something that
would have to be done. It couldn't be just roof mounted. We really tried to get that done.
One of the things that and Julie kind of touched on this is that I am and Julie, you've probably seen this too, as a solar homeowner, I have seen a significant drop in my solar this year, what I've gotten from my panels, because the weather has been so
Lousy.
lousy in a word. And who's to say that we aren't going to become like Portland, Oregon, or something like that, where this is the new norm. So although this plan is the whole solarize Deerfield plan, it's premised on old information, right? About what we're gonna need and how many panels it will take to generate that much if we don't get as much sun as we used to get. So I just want to raise that. It's not, there's nothing to be done about it. The more roofs we get, the more panels we get, the more solar power we'll get. And I will say that there was a recent breakthrough where they've got another film that they can put on top that gets like 15% more, but it's still in the experimental stage. So things are catching up and changing as well. But I don't think I just want to say that I bet we could come up with something marvelous and make a huge leap forward. And if it's only solar, will it be enough? I don't know. MA?
In relation to predictions of weather, which are renowned for being accurate, they're saying that we're going to get about the same amount of rain as we've always gotten. We're just going to have bigger droughts and bigger rainstorms. So this last summer we had a ton of rain. The summer before we had a ton of drought. But the prediction is that the actual number of drops is going to stay about the same.
Interesting. And not very fun. Anyway, so all right, so to summarize, because no meeting should be longer than an hour, and we're talking about it. We are all agreed we're going to go with explore municipal. And it's MA's already moving ahead on a bunch of the engineering stuff for buildings, but that what we want to do is get the library plans to a few local installers and ask them to give us an assessment based on I'm sure we got to tell them what kind of power consumption that's already been calculated, right? Since you guys are saying it's going to be 4,000 a month. All right, so we have all the data that we could give them, that they could actually give us something more than just a back of an envelope estimate.
Yes, they had I forget, Julie, what it was, but it was stunning.
I remember the discussion and being shocked.
Yes,
and it was they're really saying.
I know. I was shocked too, because it was going to be between $3,000 and $4,000 a month on the old rates, not new rates. And it was just air exchange for the new building.
Yeah.
So
air handling.
I mean, and then the fact that they weren't even going to put solar panels on, they were just going to add it to the operating costs. I mean, I was
so the architect may have a preliminary estimate for the cost of the solar panels. I feel like one went by at some point.
I thought we mentioned that.
So we may have a dollar value for that. He definitely has it laid out, like how much solar on the roof is there.
Well, we should
so there may be some preliminary.
Yeah, we should get an application in for the CIPC.
CIPC.
Yeah.
Denise, do you want to get in touch with Melissa Hoffer? And once we have that information, and just sort of say, or whatever, just, like, who do we talk to? How do we get funding for this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to email her person. I forget her person's name, but I also want to make sure that I have good information before
I'm at the point where we have, if that information exists from that, I will contact the solar store, and again, when we have the information, I'll contact the solar store, Northeast Solar, and PV Squared, and see, and just as those are the three that I've gone to, I think those are the ones that are definitely reliable, just to get an assessment for the costs. on that also. But maybe we don't need to if the architects already have.
Right, yeah, Julie, do you have that information from the architect? Where would we find that?
I'll ask.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That would be great. So now Julie's gonna try and find out where we can find it at the very least, right? And if we have that assessment, then that's something that Denise can bring to Melissa Hoffer. But also, I think it's still probably worthwhile bringing those plans to those other folks.
Yeah, no
because-
harm.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. More information, the better. All right, so we have strategy and we have a tactic. This is awesome.
And thank you so much. This has really been helpful. And I think, we're going to try and do a similar meeting with other committees and introducing them to the solar plan and getting people enthusiastic about where we're headed. And to answer your question, solar is not the only solution. We have lots of other things that we have to do in order to meet our goal.
Denise?
Geothermal.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Can
Denise.
I talk?
Oh,
Okay.
Right, you
No,
go
I
ahead.
was just having a question. So this was, a preliminary thing. Are you doing the same thing and asking the same? I mean, we've already determined that municipal would be first in the library. So are you going to use that as a jumping off point for other presentations, or are you going to give the same presentation to other committees and ask them the same questions?
Good. I'm inclined to keep it blind for a little while and just so I would generate more ideas and information rather than come to them and say, this is what we're thinking.
Well, do you have a certain timeline for this?
Before town meeting for sure. Yeah, in the next month, couple of months, I'd say we'll have gone to the select board, will hopefully the Conservation Commission, Energy Committee.
Okay.
I don't know, anybody else that we ought to, and at that point in time, probably February, we'll have the forum with the UMass people, which would be open to the town. And we'll have vast advertising for that.
Vast advertising.
But I do think that in the meantime, we should be moving forward with like the tactics that we discussed tonight.
Yeah, because we're already moving forward in the Energy Committee on a bunch of stuff. So yeah, there's no harm with that.
Julie, was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, at the very beginning of your presentation, I'll have to admit to not paying sufficient attention, but I thought I heard you say that, like you said, like 94 megawatts was the usage that was required or something like that.
That's
Are predicted.
that's what's.
I think that's residential only.
That's the whole town.
Okay, it's in the residential section of the report. Just double check
Yeah,
that number.
we will double check.
So my suggestion was going to be, as anything comes online, make a little thermometer or something so we can show people
Oh, that's a good idea.
progress that
Yeah.
is being made. I mean, so I love the idea about the library. Library edition doesn't exist yet. Things that are already here, if there's something we can put
That's
up.
a cool idea about. Yeah.
You're stealing my idea for the storage capacity, flooding storage capacity. I was gonna have a little.
We have thermometers all over town.
Oh, so this could be a
I can
song.
bleed blue and this one could be orange.
Yeah, light bulb.
Anyway, so if we have this goal in mind, I
Yeah.
think it'd be helpful to show, look, we're making it, even if it includes my tax exempt schools, part of it. So if we can show some movement, some progress, instead of nothing's happening, you know.
That's a
That
great
would be-
idea.
Does anyone remember the 12-12 project?
Yes,
No.
that's actually what made me think of the storage capacity. So when the Leary lot comes online, I was gonna take that 2 million gallons and put that right on to like a thermometer kind of thing. 'Cause
Right.
It should be a light bulb, not a thermometer.
Good,
like
good. Yes, I like that.
Ready kilowatt.
Yeah.
Drowning.
Yes, and then you won't steal my flooding capacity.
It's 7:29 and I expire at 7:30.
Yes.
Indeed. All right. So, thank you all so much. We really appreciate the conversation and the help.
And you can give me your comment afterwards since we're finished, we're wrapping up.
Okay. Good night, all.
Right, good night, all. I
Right.
can stop recording if people want to just stick around to talk.